Borodar, good morning. How are you this morning? Monday morning, and I am not really sure where to start this. I kind of know where I want to go, but my goodness, what a week we had last week. As if it's not enough to wrap our heads around yet another Prime Minister and all the changes that come with that. And we're listening and keeping our eyes and ears peeled for news about how we're going to cope with the energy crisis this winter, and are we going to be able to afford to heat our homes, and what's going on in Ukraine and Pakistan. So much going on. And then we have the death of Queen Elizabeth, Her Majesty. What on earth can I say about all of that? The thing about the Queen is that not many of us have got a very clear memory of what it was like before her. And I know some people have got memories, but let's face it, those memories are now over 70 years old. That's extraordinary, isn't it? So amidst all the change and all that's difficult, whether you are a royalist, a monarchist or a republican, there's no getting away from the fact that the Queen has been a very constant, very consistent presence through everything else that has changed in the last 70 years. And that affects us, doesn't it? The idea that something that was so dependable, so unchanging, is now changed. What can I tell you about that? Well, I think the way that I'm working it out for myself is that I see that there's a national and an international response, but I'm also acutely aware that there's a family involved here, and that the Queen has got children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren who are going to miss this beloved person in their family. And that's huge. And despite all their personal grief, they're still having to put a public face on and get out there. And their personal private grief is where we need to meet them. Later today, I'm off to do a funeral visit for a local family who've lost a beloved member. They have heaps and heaps of personal grief, and they're feeling not dissimilar perhaps to how the royal family might be feeling right now. My grandma is 99, I know, 99. She's not going to make it to her 100th birthday. In fact, she might not make it to the end of today. She's really poorly. And that's a grief, isn't it? It's a personal grief. So I think my reflection for us today is that we've watched days of coverage of this. We've listened to it on the radio, and we're looking at all those national stories and all the anecdotes, and we're learning such a lot about how accession works and proclamations and the do's and don'ts of raising and lowering flags, and a huge learning curve for us all. But amidst it all, we've lost the constant presence of the Queen, and we're watching grief. And we all know what grief feels like. We've all lost somebody along the way, haven't we? And I was called to a little piece in the letter from Paul to the Philippians that I wanted to share with you, and I'm going to read it to you in two versions, because I think this is maybe what we need to hang the week on, to kind of lift ourselves up and step forward confidently, regardless of what might be going on for us emotionally and spiritually, and probably physically as well. So I'm going to read you this little tiny piece from Paul's letter to the Philippians. He says this, it's in chapter 4. Do not worry about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. The peace of God, which passes all understanding. I'm going to read it to you from the Message as well. It's a slightly quirkier version, but it ticks all the boxes. So how about this for a version? Don't fret or worry. Instead of worrying, pray. Let petitions and praises shape your worries into prayers, letting God know your concerns. Before you know it, a sense of God's wholeness, everything coming together for good, will come and settle you down. It's wonderful what happens when Christ displaces worry at the centre of your life. So whatever's going on for you today, whatever might be touching your hearts or affecting you emotionally and spiritually, remember that the one true, wonderful, consistent in our life is God, and he has us, and we can offer him everything in prayer, and he will hold it and hold us. We are his beloved children after all. Well, did I get where I meant to go to? I hope so, and I hope you have a good day today. I shall see some of you and be in touch if there's anything you want to be in touch about. Lots of love and God bless to you all. Bye bye.